Let's move on to our final team of the AFC South, and it is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Their camp has been going on strong. Day 4 was Thursday. They're entering day 5 on Friday. It was a very spirited training camp on Thursday with full pads and a lot of high-pressure situations in the red zone for Trevor Lawrence on Thursday. He looked good. He looked so-so in the red zone. His red zone efficiency wasn't that great, which caused a lot of concern for I don't want to say a lot of concern because it's just training camp, but I did see a lot of Jaguars fans comparing Trevor Lawrence's training camp in the red zone Thursday to his poor red zone efficiency during the season and concerning themselves with that. I don't think, if you're a Jags fan watching this, I don't think you really need to worry about that at all. But one thing that is a highlight of the Jaguars training camp is their defense has been looking very good. Again, just training camp, but their defense has been making a lot of plays. AJ, what players are you looking at in this Jaguars defense to take big steps forward this season?
Well, the first one is Tyson Campbell. I think he's a guy that they've been looking at who needed to grow a little bit in the defensive world in the NFL. And I think he's shown that he can do that. They're very high on him right now. He's been playing with a lot of energy, a lot of instinct, and kind of trusting himself a little bit more than he has in the past. They're really high on him right now. He's been breaking stuff up, making Trevor Lawrence look like he has to go back to the drawing board a few times. So Tyson Campbell is one of those guys. And then all the young players that they drafted this year that we're really excited about. I know they're just rookies, but in Jacksonville, the young players on the defense has normally been the highlight. You think about when Josh Allen was there. You think about back when they had a Jalen Ramsey and all those guys. So now you look at a Devin Lloyd who we were shocked went there. You look at a Chad Muma, Vinny's favorite guy, the Muma, and of course number 1 pick Trayvon Walker. So these young guys are going to get an opportunity to play early and often. And I think if they can make some strides and develop throughout one training camp and of course throughout the season, you might be back to that point where you're banking on your defense as your offense comes along. Now, I'm not going to say they're going to be the best defense in the NFC South, but I do think that they have the potential to develop quickly and be a formidable defense again in a few seasons.
I know I have not really been diving in too much on these certain questions, but I am very excited and very interested to see how this linebacking group for the Jacksonville Jaguars kind of takes shape. Obviously, you just mentioned a few of the big names there with Chad Muma and Devin Lloyd, but I mean, they brought in, there's a lot of new faces at the linebacker position for the Jags. Obviously, getting rid of Miles Jack is a huge hole to fill for the team in terms of leadership, but the Jaguars linebacking group, and Dylan, you can attest to this, ever since Paul Posluszny left and really Telvin Smith left, the Jaguars linebackers have not been a bright spot on this defense. And I'm hoping now with this new group coming in, they did pay attention a lot in the draft to fixing it and in free agency to fixing it. It's going to be a big story, this training camp, this preseason, and this whole entire season on how this linebacking group can actually perform and hopefully take the next steps to having a successful defense again.
Yeah, I think one point on that defense, I mean, bringing in Afoye Oluokan's huge. I think that guy can be a leader of your defense right there. I mean, he led the NFL in tackles last year. That guy is just a tackling machine, and that's what you want out of a linebacker position, someone who can get to the ball carrier and make contact, and that's what he does. So I think that's good. Drafting a Devin Lloyd, they just need to stay healthy. I think that's another thing with the Jaguars defense the last few years. They haven't been able to stay healthy. And hopefully they can find a way to stay healthy, because you get behind that, you're going to see Shaq Quarterman out there again. You're going to see all these guys that you saw last year that couldn't tackle, and Derrick Henry goes for 200, stiff arming jackasses down the field, and you're just going to have to live with it. So hopefully they can stay healthy. I do like the revampedness, and I think it's going to be a new-look defense. And I'll be honest, I haven't been this excited for a defense since we had everybody back in 2018-19.
There's a lot of potential there.
Potential turns into reality. I'll tell you right now, I think the biggest jump in the NFL is the Jaguars defense. I don't think you talked about the tackling, and they didn't just go out and get guys that tackle. They went out and got dogs that tackle.
Yeah, guys.
We're talking about Oluokun, who again led the league in tackles. Tackling machine, doesn't miss tackles very often. Chad Muma was a tackling machine in college. Devin Lloyd is just an all-around playmaker. And then you add that obviously with the number 1 overall pick and a Trayvon Walker, who is going to be designed to get to the quarterback more so than play in space. Josh Allen's still there. Fatukasi up front.
Yeah.
I think this defense, and let's not forget they added a Darius Williams in the back end to go along with the Shaquille Griffin, a Rayshawn Jenkins, and I know, again, a hopefully improved Tyson Campbell, who is big. I was super high on him a couple of years ago, can play physical. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars defense takes the biggest stride out of any team in the league on the defensive side of the football. Now, again, I've said this before, doesn't mean this translates to wins. But we've seen teams like the Giants 2 years ago, especially, where their defense was so good, but their offense was so bad. They got, it hurt them. I think the Jaguars are going to be a team like that if their offense can give them something, that defense is going to make a difference.
And it really is. And we talked about the tackling. Like, that's been the biggest thing. And even as a Jags fan, you watch these games, as the season progresses, it seems like the tackling just gets worse and worse. And it just seems like the guys just stop. I don't want to say having heart to play the game and just become lazy, but it seems at times, though, that there's just a lot of just kind of going through the motions as a defense. And I never want to assume that on somebody and put that on somebody, but it does seem like that. And it's very nice to see the Jaguars noticing that as a big problem and addressing that. Definitely bright days ahead for the Jaguars defense. On the offensive side of the ball, James Robinson did not start the season on the PUP list. Aaron, can you take us through what camp will look like for James Robinson? Obviously not on the PUP list, but them kind of winning him back. What's training camp like for him?
Honestly, I'm not in a rush. If I'm Jacksonville, I'm not in a rush to get him back. We saw the recovery that Cam Akers had, right? And look, I mean, this is a torn or ruptured Achilles is a bad injury. In 5-10 years ago, your career was over when you ruptured an Achilles. So I'm not rushing him back. I don't think you need to lean on him early in the season. I'm looking for him to come back 3 or 4 weeks into I'm not saying he can't play week 1 if he's cleared, but I'm not giving him full workloads week 1. I'm easing him back into the season. That hopefully by the middle of the season, he gets back to form, and then you put him out there. You have the luxury now of having a Travis Etienne, regardless how we feel about that pick. You have that luxury now with another guy in the backfield that is explosive, has talent, and you feel like you can get something out of. But I'm not rushing him back. I don't know if you can play that B-roll one more time because I want to see it. He looks a little thick, looks a little slow, right? Like he looks like he's obviously the injury. He put on a little bit of weight to me, it looks like, but that's going to come with camp, right? That's going to be 2-3 weeks of just working out, getting your body back in shape, playing in a game eventually, maybe week 2, 3, 4, whatever down the line. From Jacksonville, I'm not rushing this. You're not really in a team that is in a position that you need to just rush him back. Like you are trying to build something for the future. You don't want James Robinson coming back week 1 and then he's out again, and you're like, we're right back to square one. So let him come back and ease at his own time.
There's so many things. Oh, okay. There's so many good things that can come with doing that strategy with James Robinson, though. Like we talked about last night or yesterday with earlier this morning with Michael Thomas, and how we said you have Jarvis Landry there, you have a Chris Olave there to kind of take the load off of Michael Thomas and ease him back into things. You have Travis Etienne there to do that for James Robinson. And not only do you have that for James Robinson, but you're also now giving more reps to Travis Etienne, valuable reps with Travis Etienne to get used to this offense, to get used to playing with Trevor Lawrence again, to get into the rhythm of how things are going to go. So completely agree with you there.
And we talked about with other guys too, like Cam Akers when he came back. And we talk about the guys who tear their ACLs. It's about getting that confidence back too, like what it looks like right now is he's working on gaining acceleration back. I want to see him cut, that's when I want to really focus on what he's going to be able to do. I want to see him make moves. Like for now, it's about making sure you trust yourself and can trust yourself to do the skill set that they brought you in for. And sure, you can look at him as a bruiser, but he was also quick. He also had some shifty moves when he needed to. So I definitely think he's the guy, like Doug Peterson said, when he's ready to be a full go, they're going to let him get that workload. But that doesn't mean it's week 1 or 2. I think it's closer week 5, 6, 7, something like that. And that's a smart route to go.
It also gives reps to Snoop Connor and Rykel Armstead. Yeah. And I know it sounds funny, but these are young guys that I think are going to be adequate enough. They're not going to have to play a primary role. Obviously, they're going to kind of want Etienne to do that. But it'll get them some experience, right, to get that kind of workload. And I think that just helps the Jaguars altogether.
Yeah.
Snoop Connor guy.
Yeah. Quick, very quick. fantasy implications for James Robinson? Obviously, him bumping up, right? He was going well.
Nothing's changed for me. Nothing's changed for me. I as far as fantasy implications, where I told you I had him before is where I'd still have him
as an RB2.
Low end RB2, RB flex, like a flex guy. And again, it's more about the time he's probably going to miss. If not time, the workload he's probably going to get to start the year. And then once he comes in, like I do think this is probably more of a 50-50 split between him and Travis Etienne, whether it's out of the backfield catching or rushing. I just think that the carries are going to be hard to know what you're getting. So his upside is going to be capped because of that. But it's a guy that I think you can count on late in the season to do what you expect him to do.
Quick question. Could we see like a Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara sort of work share?
Something like that. Okay. Where James Robinson might have 14, 15 carries. Etienne might have 9 and, more work out of the backfield. But James Robinson might have the touchdown. He might end up being one of those guys that end up being touchdown dependent. I don't want to say it, but he might, because if they're not using him in the passing game, those 14 carries is probably not going to be enough to be fantasy relevant unless he gets into the end zone.
Fair enough. And hopefully the Jaguars do get in the end zone. All right, Dylan, I have a question listed here for you, but I'm also going to give you free range to talk about whatever you want with the Jaguars training camp and what you're looking forward to most with it. But one camp note that I wanted to talk to you about is today was not a very good day for one position group and also one player. Evan Ingram and the case of the drops were in full effect today, and obviously just training camp. We'll see how it goes through the season. But the drops were there, and it actually led to an interception for Trevor Lawrence today during camp.
Thought he was 18.
Yeah, what happened to 18 for 18?
This is in the red zone. I told you in the red zone I did not include his red zone stats. I did not include just the red zone stats.
If you're going to give training camp stats, give the whole picture.
You talking about these training camp stats? These great training camp stats?
How are you going to show 18 for 18 and this time you threw an interception in the red zone?
People don't post and go out and normally post all of the training camp stats. So what I get is what I get, and I'm putting them there, okay?
He even chose a photo that made it look like he had the number 18 on it. Like, he was trying to go all in on that damn thing.
Hey, I got to build my boy up. But okay, so no, Evan Ingram, full of the drops today. And then the kickers for the Jacksonville Jaguars missed a whole lot of kicks to the point where reporters were saying that they were not only missing kicks, but they were risking the lives of members of the media standing by the goalpost because they were missing them so bad. Dylan, your thoughts on those two things and the Jaguars training camp as a whole? The floor is yours.
Beep, 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 beep. Overreaction button has been hit by Vinny. I mean,
whoa. No.
Oh my God, Vinny, let him talk. Just let him finish his soliloquy.
Let me talk.
Don't shoot at me saying I'm overreacting.
He always gets so emotional about Jacksonville.
I am just doing my job.
Vincent, send it. Overreaction here from everybody, not just you, Vincent. Everybody that's blowing this out of proportion. Look, we know Evan Ingram drops footballs. We've seen it our entire career, his whole career. Going back to Ole Miss, we knew what he was going to do, right? I mean, I'm just glad that it's taking place in July. I'd be more concerned if it's August. I don't care if it's August. Get me to the season and catch the footballs when you need to. Don't look like an ass of yourself on Monday Night Football. That's all I care about. As far as the kicker goes, I know, like Matthew Wright came in. The Jags have always had good kickers. Scobie, Lampo, they get good kickers. However, I'm not saying I'm concerned about this, but when you're risking the lives of reporters, I have the tweet right here pulled up. Jaguars have kicking issues. Warming up, they hit Dave Campo in the head, nearly wiped out Ashlyn Sullivan, and sent another group scattering. None of them were even standing anywhere close to the goalpost. So, yeah, they're kicking the ball everywhere, and people need to duck when they're at this training camp. But once again, it's July, so I'm not overreacting.
Do we have footage of these kicks? I don't know if you guys have ever been to an NFL training camp, but there are people everywhere.
Been to many.
Like, they're everywhere. There's people here, people there, people on the left, people on the right. There's balls flying. There's so much is going on at NFL training camps, especially when they break out into position groups. I want to see video how far when reporters say things like they weren't anywhere close to the goalpost, I want to see footage. Otherwise, I think it's just looking for clicks, trying to report something to be funny because I don't buy it. I don't care how bad these kickers are. And I don't know who the kickers are. I don't buy that these kicks were just so bad that Dave Campo's on the 20-yard line and they're kicking from the 40 and it's hitting Dave Campo in the head. I don't buy it.
Well,
the Jags, I'll buy
it. Yeah, that too. But Dylan, what are your overall thoughts on Jags camp? What are you looking forward to most, and what are your thoughts moving forward?
I'm just looking at I know it's kind of out there a little bit, but I'm looking at the wide receiver room. I think that it wasn't talked about enough. I think bringing in a Christian Kirk, I want to see the chemistry there. Zay Jones gets brought in. You have Laquan Treadwell in year 2. Sort of a new look. There's no more DJ Chark. Chenault's kind of buried with what he's got, everything he's got going on there. But, I mean, there's a couple of pieces on this offense I'm a little bit not worried about. I just want to see how Trevor Lawrence in this offense under Doug Peterson does. And I think the wide receiver room's a big step. I want to see him have great chemistry with these wide receivers because last year, if you remember in September, he was throwing to Jamal Agnew because Urban Meyer loves speed. So that's not good. So hopefully
ABJ, anybody but Jamal.
Anybody
if Jamal Agnew is the guy, then we in trouble.
Anybody but Laquan as well.
They were throwing to special teamers. But to your point, Dylan, Doug Peterson actually really likes Laviska Shenault, and we heard all of this last year, so it's kind of hard to go back in on a Laviska Shenault. But Doug Peterson has had high praise for Laviska Shenault during the offseason and so far through training camp. Whether that actually is going to mean he is a wide receiver 2 on this team, he's an
MVP. It hasn't translated to games.
It's not even that. Like when I hear things like that, I'm like, well, you signed Zay Jones, you signed Christian Kirk. How much did you actually like Laviska Shenault?
I don't think anyone is guaranteed the wide receiver 1, 2, or 3 position on this Jaguars team. It could go to literally anyone at this point.
Oh no, Christian Kirk is definitely the wide receiver 1.
Okay, maybe the wide receiver 2 and 3.
I think
Marvin Jones is the 2.
Yeah. I wanted to say one more thing. Evan Ingram, I like a lot, despite his drops, everything. I got a quote from him right here. He said it takes a while to break out of his shell. He's not feeling not that he's not feeling great.
Wait, what?
Big ass.
He trapped in a straitjacket shell.
Wait, what do you mean break out of his shell?
He said he's coming to a new place. This is his quote, by the way. Coming into a new place, learning again, and meeting the guys and building bonds has been a big adjustment. But from day one,
5 years in New York. So 5 years in New York, doing the same exact thing of dropping balls. You never broke out of your shell, and now year 1 in Jacksonville, you need 6 more years to say, "Hey, I need more time to break out of my shell."
He also kind of shit on Dan Arnold. He said he's kind of corny, but he's a good guy to hold yourself accountable with.
Hey, it would not shock me if Dan Arnold beat out Evan Ingram and it was more productive than Evan Ingram.
That's going to happen. That is going to happen.
I truly believe that.
That's going to happen. Trevor Lawrence really liked Dan Arnold last season. That is another fun fact. But I really do see Dan Arnold being the tight end 1 for this team. But